How do you find BMV property, also known as below market value? This is a question I'll probably get asked more than any other when it comes to property investing. In this video, I'm going to break down what it is, why somebody will sell you a property like that, and most importantly, how to find them. If you're watching my videos for the first time, my name is Saj Hussain. On this channel, I share with you my 15 years of property investing experience to ultimately help you get further faster in your own property investing journey. So below market value, BMV, what is it? So let me give you a quick analogy first of all. Let's say you are going to buy a nice jacket, it's £100, so that means it's probably not Primark, but it's probably not Gucci either. But you nip into the shop and you find there's a nice jacket there, you think, not sure. You go into another shop, they've got exactly the same jacket as well, also at £100, but you decide not to buy on that day. Then you come back a few days later and you think, actually, I'm ready to buy that jacket. You nip into the shop and then you see that they've actually got a sale. It's 20% off the price. That means you can now buy that jacket for £80. And if you go into the other shop down the road, they're still selling it for £100. So that doesn't mean that all the price are being reduced. It means that this particular one is now on sale. So if you purchase that jacket on that day, you'll make a 20% saving. So this discount, if you like, sometimes could be a perception that it's a discount, but ultimately if you were looking to buy a jacket on that day, you've now got it 20% cheaper than you would have anywhere else. That's essentially what we're doing. We're buying below what may be the market value. So when we talk about houses, it's a very similar concept. So if we look at a £100,000 house and you're looking to purchase that and you're looking to make a saving on the purchase, effectively you want to buy at the sale price, the discounted price, the reduced price. So you're looking to buy something less than it's worth. So the key thing here is, first of all, we need to establish what is something worth. And the way we do that in properties, I look at the comparables. So when we're using the jacket analogy, we're looking at what the other shops are selling it for. So here we look at what else is up for sale, but more importantly, what has already sold that's similar to this property, because that's what really gives us a true indication of what the value of that particular property might be. So if you've got, let's say, 2 or 3 similar properties in a similar street very close by that have sold, and then that will give you a good indication of what the property is worth. Let's say they've all sold for around £100,000, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. So you know it's probably worth about £100,000. And if you're able to buy that property for £80,000, you're making a 20% saving, a £20,000 discount. Effectively, you're pocketing 20 grand on day one of that purchase. And that's essentially why below market value is such an attractive proposition, because you make money straight away on the purchase, because you can turn around and sell that property at its true market value with all conditions being normal in the marketplace, i.e. it's not a depressed time within the market. You can sell that property and make a profit. And that's what some property investors will do. They'll purchase a property, they'll tidy it up, add some value to it and sell it on, or they might put it in their portfolio and hold it for the long term and maybe remortgage it later on. You might be thinking right now, hey Saj, why on earth would somebody that has a £100,000 house sell it to you for £80,000? It makes no sense. And you're absolutely right. It doesn't make no sense on the surface of it until you really understand why people have reasons to sell a property for less than its true value. And there are many, many reasons that this happens, which we're going to dig into in a short while. When I first started learning about this as well, about 15 years ago, I really struggled with this concept about why somebody can sell the house for less than it's worth. And I remember coming home to my wife, explaining to her, look, I've just learned about this BMW thing. No, it's not a car, BMV we're talking about. And what they do, they're selling the house for less than it's worth and you make money on day one. And she thought I'd completely lost the plot and joined some kind of crazy cult, because for most people, it doesn't make any sense why somebody would do it. And this is really, for me, the penny dropped when I started speaking to sellers and understood their circumstances of why they would do it. And when I first started learning about this, the way it was explained to me is really what we're doing is solving people's problems. And initially I didn't quite get it until I started having those conversations with people who were looking to sell their property. I was sitting in their living room, on their couch, at the dining table with them, understanding their situation and why is it they're looking to sell the property. And there's many, many reasons, but you remember the key thing here, what we're doing is resolving people's problems. So for instance, 3 of the biggest reasons tend to be debt, and divorce, the 3 Ds. It's very common. That tends to be the main reasons that people might sell a property for less than it's worth. Let's say, for example, debt. It might be someone's got a tax bill that they need to pay. They need to pay by a certain date, otherwise they're going to be facing all kinds of problems. They've got a property, they know they can release the cash very quickly. If they sell it to somebody at a bit of a discount, that means that they get what they want. So that's an example of why somebody, for example, in a debt situation might want to do that. And then divorce, for example, it could be a situation where a couple are looking to part ways and they just really want it to happen really fast. And what they're looking to do is say, look, if somebody will be prepared to move on this transaction quickly, we'll be flexible on the price. And these are things to remember. Effectively, what you're doing, resolving people's problems, and in return, what you're getting is flexibility on the price by giving them ultimately what they want, and often it is really about speed. When we talk about problems, they really fall into two camps. The first problem is there's an issue with the property itself. So there's some issue, for example, it might be unmortgageable, it might be in a derelict state, it may be that there's been some movement on the property in terms of physically, subsidence issue, it could be it's near a coal mine, it could be, for example, it's got an electricity pylon very close by, which means very few people are interested in purchasing a property like that to live in because not everybody's keen on those. There are so many reasons why there might be an issue with the property. And so these are the problems that fall into the property itself. And then you have issues that are related to the owner of the property. For example, somebody's emigrating, they need to be moved at the end of the week, they want something done really quick, speed is the key thing they're looking for. So there are issues around the individual and then there's issues around the property. Now, whichever problems it is that we're looking at, the most important thing here for you is that you're able to resolve these problems. If you can't resolve the problems, then really isn't really going to be an opportunity for you. So for example, let's say you were purchasing a house that was unmortgageable. Let's say it didn't have a functional kitchen in it because someone started a refurb, they stripped it out, they didn't complete it, they fell out with their partners, they decided to get rid of the house. We're just purchasing a very similar one like that just now. So what that means is in that situation, they just want to get rid of that property because they want it done. But if they put it on the open market, it means actually the buyer's not going to be able to get a mortgage. And so no, there's going to be all these kind of issues. And if they want it resolved quickly, we can agree effectively a cash purchase to get that deal done. We get a bit of a discount, they get the transaction done quite quickly. But now I know once I finish the refurb, I put the kitchen in, the property is remortgageable again, and hey presto, you know, I've made money on the discount, on the purchase, and also by adding a little bit of value as well. So that works for me and it works for them as well. But let's say on the other hand that there was an electricity pylon at the rear of the garden. A massive electricity pylon. Now people talk about health issues with these electricity pylons, so not everybody necessarily wants to live there. So if you've got an issue like that, if you purchase that house, you've got to be prepared to accept that problem because it's not one you can necessarily fix and resolve. That problem is going to stay with the property and you might have issues when you come to sell the property. If that's something you're thinking of doing, it may be that you're quite happy just to keep it, put it in your rental portfolio and you're thinking, well, somebody will probably rent it from you and you'll be okay earning some kind of income. But the important thing is you have a solution to the problems when you're speaking to the sellers. If you're finding this content useful, then do me a favor, smash that like button and also make sure you subscribe to the channel so you're getting more content just like this. And I put out several videos a month really just to help you on your property investing journey. So all I ask in return, just a little favor, a little like, maybe a little comment, tell me what you enjoyed about the video and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Now that makes sense, let's talk about how do we actually find these properties? Are they all over the place? Do they advertise? Is there a BMV website that we go on and we just find the property we're looking for? Is that how it works? Oh no, it's not quite that simple. You have to do a little bit of work to find these properties because it's one of those old sayings that, look, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. You do have to go through a little bit of work, but the rewards are phenomenal. So when we come to looking for these type of properties, really, it's not the property we're looking for. We're looking for individuals that will have a certain issue that they're trying to resolve. Remember, we talked about resolving problems. So what we're looking for is what we call motivated sellers, someone that's motivated and keen to sell. And hey, look, if someone's put a property up for sale or with an estate agent, to some extent, they are motivated. They're motivated to sell the property, but they are going to be motivated enough to give you a 20% discount. Not necessarily, as we said earlier on. Would you sell your house for 20% less than its value? No, most probably not. That's because you're not motivated to do that. However, some people in certain situations will be more motivated than others. So there's degrees of motivation. And what we're looking for is signals that will allow us to identify, actually, this could be a property that could work for us. So let me tell you what I mean. So on Rightmove and Zoopla, for example, on the market, when we're looking at these type of properties, we go into these portals, we have a scout around about what's up for sale and we see maybe something might be a deal. So one option could be you shortlist 100 properties, you go and view 100 properties, you put 100 offers in, all of them 20% less than the asking price. And apart from annoying the estate agents, it's very, very unlikely that any of those offers will be accepted because you're just throwing random darts in the dark, just hoping that something might hit. However, if you could identify somebody who's more motivated to sell at a discount, then it's going to be so much easier for you to find the people that you need to have the conversation with rather than just putting these random offers in everywhere, because that's not necessarily going to be the best way to get you the deal. So how do we find these people? So for example, if we're looking on, say, one of the online portals and see a property that's been up for sale for a little while, but it's not sold. Let's say it's been up for sale for 2 or 3 months and it hasn't sold. Let's say a property had sold subject to contract, but actually it'd fallen out of bed and come back. It's come up for sale again. But let's say that's happened 2 or 3 times. Maybe there's a property that's had 3 price reductions over 3 months. So these are the things that are actually in the public domain, this information, but it's been able to track and spot these things to give you an idea. This person is much more likely to be flexible with the price because of all these things that they're having to go through. Now, most people, they maybe sell, a house 2 or 3 times in their life. Most people are not property traders, property investors. They're not doing deals every week, every month. That's not what they're doing. So there can be a lot of hassle and pain around selling property because it's not necessarily as smooth as it really can appear to be on the face of it, because it takes weeks and weeks to go through the process. The chances of deals falling out of bed are quite high. There's so many different steps involved. And if you want to learn more about the steps in buying a property, then make sure you watch this video up here afterwards. We'll link it up here, which is a full process in terms of purchasing a property. So scouting around on these portals is probably one of the easiest way to find these deals. I say easiest, but it's very time consuming. You've got to be able to spot these. You've got to look for certain things. You almost need to remember, I'm sure I saw that property that was sold. It's come back up for sale. So, you need to be diligent in keeping this information. What we've managed to be able to do is get access to a custom software tool that actually pulls all this data together and effectively builds a database for us. And then on a daily basis, it alerts us where there's been changes, something's come back up for sale, something that's kind of had a number of price drops, something that's got several estate agents selling a property, shows that somebody's really keen to sell. So these indicators come to us, making it so much easier rather than spending hours and hours sitting at the computer trying to trawl through these portals, Rightmove and Zoopla, and spot what you think might be a deal. And that's really how we've built and systemized it. And this is something we're making available now to my mentoring students on our Inner Circle program. They're going to be getting access to this tool as well in the coming months, so it makes their life easier in terms of finding these deals. So what are the other ways you can find these type of deals? There's so many different methods that you can use. Some of my most favorite ones have been newspaper adverts and leaflets. This is where we run an advert in the newspaper or put a leaflet door to door. The advert will say something like, sell your house fast for cash, or we buy houses for cash with cash waiting. Those type of marketing messages is what we would use to find people that might be looking to have a conversation with us. So those have been some of my most favorite methods. And when it comes to leaflet drops, I talk about people doing leaflets sometimes. I have a conversation, so I've done 1,000 leaflets, I didn't really get much of a response, so I've dropped that. I said 1,000 leaflets. When I was leafleting, I was doing about 100,000 leaflet batches, massive volumes, because your response rates from leaflets, newspaper adverts, these things is very, very low. And you have to recognize you can have a very, very low response rate, but be okay with that in order to get the deals to make them work. So for example, I might be doing, say, 10,000 leaflets and I might get 20 phone calls from that, and one of those might turn into a deal. But that's 10,000 leaflets I put out. Now, these numbers are not necessarily the same all the time because there's so many factors you need to consider. Because when we're marketing for somebody to have this kind of conversation with, you've got to remember the message you use, the medium that you use, how you get the message out there to people will impact the response that you get from your particular leaflets and adverts as well. Another method that I'd like to use is guerrilla marketing. Now, guerrilla marketing just refers to a style of marketing which tends to be a little bit different and something that will stand out rather than just be very similar to everything else that's out there. And so guerrilla marketing, there's 2 amazing books that I suggest that you read that will really help you with this, that I really learned a lot from. The first one's called Guerrilla Marketing by J. Conrad Levison. And the second one is called Purple Cow by Seth Godin. Both of these books is really about doing things that are different, about standing out, and this is low-cost marketing that will generate you leads and inquiries. Of course, other more modern methods is using online marketing such as Facebook ads, Google ads, and also using social media as well. Another great technique for finding motivated sellers, which I think very few people use, is the planning portal. So when a local authority has its planning applications, that is a massive database of people that are looking to make changes to their properties, and you can identify, for example, somebody who's had a failed application, or somebody who's had an application that's gone on for quite a period of time. Maybe they're frustrated now, they might want looking to sell the property, and you're reaching out to those people. There are so many ways that you can go out and find these people, but the point is what you're doing is you're going out to find the people rather than sitting around waiting for somebody to bring you these amazing BMV deals. Now, I've shared a few little tips with you, some of the ones that we found work really well for us, but I've got another 27 methods that you can use to find below market value property. If you're interested in finding those, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link up here for you, and also in the description below, and maybe on the screen here, that you can follow, and that link you'll be able to download a document that's got 27 more ways to find motivated sellers over and above the ones I've already shared with you. Remember, once you've identified a motivated seller and you start a conversation with them, the next stage really is negotiating that deal. And I've got a detailed video up here for you that you can watch also, that will go into the step-by-step things that you need to be doing to make sure you're negotiating the best deal, because here we've been talking about finding them, but remember, you've got to negotiate them and get them across the line as well. And if you're finding this content useful, we've got another great video lined up over here for you. YouTube tells me that you're going to love this video. And of course, remember, before you go over and watch that, make sure you click on my face below to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you over here on this video.